Right. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Best Self Blueprint. So, as you all know, the mission of this podcast is to bring on people with the knowledge, insights, and experiences that will help you move that dial towards becoming the best version of yourself, whatever that means to you. Now, before we get started, this week is special because this weekend I am doing the 4x4x48 run challenge. It's running 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours straight. Now, I'm setting this up as a fundraiser. So, I'm setting it up for the JJ Watt Foundation. It helps middle school age kids in the community get involved with athletics, which I feel like running is the perfect fundraiser for that. So just a hometown hero, someone I'd love to support, a cause that I'd love to support, get kids out, get them active. And if you feel compelled to help out with that, all of my information for my social media, my email, all that is in the comments below. So hit me up if you want to do that. But now, why you actually are here. So, this next guest is someone who has blown up immensely as a speaker, as an entrepreneur, as a mentor in a lot of avenues that are helping a lot of people achieve success. He went from, I believe, living out of his car, which I'll let him clear that up, but living out of his car to now making a substantial income, not only for himself, but for his team as well. So I'm not going to take away too much of his thunder. I'll let him explain why he's here. But AJ Sandberg, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on, man? I appreciate you having me on here.
You bet. So yeah, I don't usually do this, but I think your story in particular is one that people would really resonate with, especially the early stages of it where you were kind of beating your head against the wall for a little while. So if
Yeah.
you could just take a couple minutes, let people know like where you were at, and then just a brief kind of storyline of like where you got to today.
Yeah, for sure, man. I know a lot of people look at, successful people on the internet and they think that they never had to go through anything. Like, oh, it must be nice to have that success. But people don't realize, what people went through to get to that level. And so for me personally, I got introduced to entrepreneurship at a very, very young age. I was blessed to have two parents that were entrepreneurs. And I watched them go from dirt broke to building their dreams as entrepreneurs. And that's what gave me the entrepreneur itch. So I definitely was blessed in that sense. But it was also a curse because they both understood that like the power of working for it yourself and not being given out handouts and stuff like that. So they never gave me anything, even though they did really well for themselves. I was never handed anything. And my dad in particular was that way. And so when I was 18 years old, he kicked me out. I ended up living in my car because I had no idea how to handle life or what to do or where to go. I dropped out of college. I mean, the college route was just not for me. And I had to start figuring things out. And so I got introduced to this whole entrepreneurship world, into network marketing. And it really changed my life because I realized that there was average people winning in this world, but I just had to spend time around the right people. And so I started to do that. Went from living out of my car to, making maybe a little bit of money, and it started to pick up some traction, but I bounced around from jobs just to, make some money while I was getting my entrepreneurship career started. And, I just kind of made it work. I remember, some crazy, crazy things that I had to do just to, survive while I built my business. And, some people complain about, oh, I had a bad month. And it was like, for me, if I had a bad week, I didn't eat. It was like I was at the grocery store stealing blueberries just so I could have a snack, while I was living in my car. So for me, I think adversity is what molds us and what shapes us, but we have to see it as a lesson versus something that's going to crush us. And so every adversity that I've gone through on this path has just kind of created who I am. I've gone through some crazy stuff, finding out I was going to be a dad at 20 years old, and losing business partners, losing friends, losing family members. And it's just been a crazy journey, but I think, everything that I've been through, like I said, has just shaped who I am today. It's created the person I am, the values, the morals, and really the tenacity that I have when it comes to achieving what I want to achieve in life. So definitely excited to give some value to people. It's what I was put on this earth to do. I already know God put me on this earth to, help change people's lives and help them get to the next level. So I'm excited to do that.
Yeah, man, you and I both. I feel like that's just like an inherent drive that you can't ignore once you realize you have it. But one thing I want to get into, because what resonates with me the most about your story is you you just decided, right? And once you decided, you had that conviction and that commitment behind you. But I want to throw down one of your quotes and just like we'll just dive into it. So the true dominators, the top 1%, constantly win over and over because they're all in on desire, environment, discipline, health, appearance, mindset, and consistency. It's in their DNA. Now, can you change your internal DNA? Yes. Is it an insane amount of work? Yes. So I want you to just lay down for people, because as we were talking about before we hopped on, I think unfortunately a lot of people, like, the reward center of their brain lights up just when they like talk about it or when they hear a talk like this. What, in your opinion, is the gap between those people who like get amped up, try really hard for a week and fall off, and then the people you're talking about, the top 1%, the dominators, the people who constantly win? And then how do people start to close that gap?
So I'm a big endorser of the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. If you haven't read it, go read it. It is the Bible to success. Like, if you want to be a Christian, you read the Bible. If you want to be successful, you read Think and Grow Rich. It's just the rule. It's the law. You have to read it. And in that book, Napoleon Hill talks about
Oh,
the first. He got asked something. Can you hear me?
I can now. It kind
Can
of
you hear me okay?
glitched out a little bit.
Now I think we're good now though.
Okay. All right. So Think and Grow Rich, first of
We're
all,
good.
phenomenal book.
Yeah.
And yes, I agree. I have it. I kind of have like a top 10 that's constantly evolving and books getting knocked off. But ever since I
Yeah.
read that one, it has been solid in that top 10.
Yeah. I mean, it's for sure in the top 10 that you have to read if you want to win. Probably even top 5. But in that book, he talks about how the first step to success is desire. And even Tony Robbins, he got asked on an interview, if you had to tell somebody to have one thing when it came to winning, what would it be? And he said hunger, right? Because it's something you can't really teach. People have to figure out their itch, what gets them going, what is going to create a hunger deep inside of you, a desire so strong that it doesn't matter what gets in your way. Because if you don't have that hunger, if you don't have that desire, it doesn't matter what you're doing in life. When the wind starts to blow against you, you're going to let it blow you, and it's just going to knock you off the course every single time. But when you have a strong desire and strong hunger, it's almost as if you've planted your flag, and it doesn't matter what comes your way, you're going to be able to keep moving forward and stay on the line because you have that desire, right? And so I think the first thing is having that hunger, figure out, what you want and why you want it, and develop a massive hunger to go get it. And after that, you have to go make the decision that you're going to do it. And most people don't truly know the definition of decide, right? So I don't know if you know this, but the root word of decide is side. So genocide, suicide, pesticide. Side, it means to cut off or to kill off. So basically, decide means to kill off any other option than to go do what you're deciding to do. And so people are like, yeah, I'm deciding that I'm going to go do this or I'm going to go do that. And then they quit. Well, that wasn't a decision then, right? You didn't make the decision. Like, I'm going to make the decision to get in shape. But then they quit 3 months down the road. That wasn't a decision. That was just a fluffy want that you had in your mind. And you didn't make the decision that you were going to go do whatever it took to win. No matter how hard it gets, no matter how many obstacles you go through, you do it. And so those are the two main things that people have to start with. People start with, all these other things, inspirational, motivational videos, whatever. Those are all great. But if you don't start with the hunger inside yourself and making a decision to actually go get it done, it doesn't matter. You're not going to finish.
Dude, first of all, I did not know that about the word decide. So that's actually really interesting. I'm gonna have to use that. But no, I rephrase that as you need to know your why, right? Like it's kind of what you were talking about. What's your reason for guarding that flag at the top of the hill? Because there's going to be plenty of people and things and distractions rushing it. And if you don't have a strong why, if you don't have a strong reason, the first distraction is going to come through and knock it right down. And so I think about it as, are you interested or are you committed? Because if you're committed, then you're going to keep showing up whether or not emotionally you feel like it. If you're interested, the first time some shiny toy gets in your peripherals, you're going to turn and focus on that. Now, what to you are the most common mistakes that people make? So let's say they found their why, right? Like they have their thing. I'm not going to say they made their decision yet, now that I know what that word means, but they found what drives them, right? They know what they want to do, they know why they want to do it. But now it's time to take not just action, but consistent action over a long period of time. As someone who coaches people through the process, essentially of like hard work, belief, and consistency, what are the most common mistakes you see people make as they try to progress down that road?
I think the biggest mistake people make is, one, there's a lot of outside noise that we hear growing up. We get told these sayings and these things like slow and steady wins the race, which I think is the stupidest saying in the world, because slow and steady never wins the race, right? You have to understand, maybe that's true in some things, but when it comes to success, you have to attack it every single day with everything that you have. You're not going to become the greatest at what you do or become high level at what you do chilling or hanging out or taking time off. That's just a reality of it. And so I think it's understanding that a lot of these things that we've been told growing up are just not true. They're not. They were conducive to living an average life, which is cool, right? If you want to just go out and make a living, that's awesome. But I knew I was not put on this earth to make a living. I was put on this earth to make a killing. And so I was going to do whatever it took to win. And that did not mean being slow and steady. That means going after it with everything that I had. And so that's one mistake. Another one is, we get told, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. Well, people have to understand that if you want to be successful, you're going to have to do things that you do not like to do. And people always misconstrue that. They're like, oh, well, I don't like it, so I'm not going to do it. Right. Well, guess what? You're never going to win in life, because success is about doing the things that you don't want to do repeatedly. And eventually you become so disciplined and so mentally tough because you do over and over and over what you know you don't want to do. Right. And there's a few things you can do to train your brain to do that. One of the things I do when I first wake up in the morning, I jump in a freezing cold shower. The last thing I want to do when I hear my alarm go off is jump into freezing cold water. Right. And I'm not talking about I jump in the shower warm and then I turn it cold. No, it's like, it's only cold, freezing cold. And I jump in there and I don't want to, but I do it. And it starts my day off by doing something I don't want to do. So I get into the mentality of, even if I don't want to do something throughout my day today, I'm going to do it anyway. And so those are two misconceptions. But I think the last thing that's super important that I see people, mess up on is just awareness, right? You have to be aware of your emotions. You have to be aware of the obstacles and what you're going to go through. I think people just set, very high expectations. And this is one of my favorite quotes. People overestimate what they can do in a month, but they underestimate what they can do in a year, right? Or they overestimate what they can do in 6 months, but they underestimate what they can do in 6 years, right? And so my point is that you have to, dream big, but also realize that there's things that you're going to go through that you're going to have to take the punches, roll with them, and keep moving forward. And I think a lot of people just, they set the wrong expectations when they start this journey towards success, and in whatever it is, you know, they're like, oh, everything's going to be perfect. And then when it's not perfect, you know, they step back. And so that's one of the biggest things that I teach, you know, the people that are running with me, and what I do is, you have to be self-aware of what's going on in your life and be able to handle those things as they come and keep moving forward. No matter what comes your way, you know what you need to get done in order to win.
Yeah, man. And that self-awareness is everything. I mean, I feel like if you're going into business or entrepreneurship or anything within that domain, if you aren't self-developing, you're not business developing. I think your business success inherently matches like the level of self-development success that you have and the level of self-awareness that you have.
It's the law of the lid. Have you heard of, you know, John C. Maxwell?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He talks about the law of the lid. He says your level in life will never go beyond your level of personal development. So if you've grown yourself to a point where you have a certain amount of knowledge, a certain amount of emotional intelligence, a certain amount of grit, grind, whatever it may be, that's all right here. You know, if it's right here, your success is going to cap out at that level until you decide to grow yourself to that next level.
Yeah, man. And that's where that like list that you put down is, it's so key, because it's not just if you develop your business skill set, right? It's, you need to develop your emotional intelligence. You need to develop your self-awareness. You need to develop your mental toughness, that ability to take those punches without going and cowering in the corner until things are safe again. And so just this culmination of all this stuff obviously has led to huge success for you. Now, when you were talking about when you're coaching other people, you make sure you set that expectation. What's your vetting process? Like, how do you tell who is a good running partner? Or do you automatically, like, I've always thought of the adage of like, give someone 100% of your trust until they take it away. Is that the same mentality you have, or what's your approach?
Yeah, pretty much. I'll work with anybody and anybody that wants to win and tells me they want to win. But for me, the people I spend the most time with are honestly the people that have been knocked down the most and gotten back up. Right. Like, it was funny. I had one of my mentors, you know, probably this was 5 or 6 years ago. I heard him on stage and he was like, you know, a lot of people ask me, you know, how do you decide who to work with? Well, you know, it's kind of like, you know, a dog crossing the street by themselves, right? The dog gets hit by the car. If it gets back up, you know, it's good to go. We keep on running alongside each other, but they don't get up, then the journey's over, right? And so he is kind of, you know, messed up, but he's basically saying like his new people that he brings in, he wants them to go get hit by a car. He's like, I want you to go get bloody. I want you to get punched in the face. And if you get back up, I'm going to keep working with you. If you don't, I'm not. And so, you know, it really just shows the mental toughness that you have to have in order to win in life. And a lot of people are like, oh, you know, some people are like, well, I don't have that. Well, you can develop it. You know, you can develop it by, you know, training your brain just to think differently, by reading books, right? I got my whole, you know, library over here of just books and books and books. And, you know, that's how I trained my brain. I just started reading, you know, things that were going to help me grow my mindset to be more tough and more aware and just understand how to be a successful individual. Because you have to understand that if you're not growing your brain, if it's not to the level that it needs to be at, then you're always going to get knocked down and want to stay down. You know, there's going to be nothing, you're going to not feel confident in your own mind to get back up and keep going. You know, somebody asked me at the gym today, they said, you know, AJ, what would happen if everybody left you, everybody quit around you, nobody wanted to spend time with you anymore, nobody wanted to work with you, everything just came crashing down? I said, and I bluntly said, I'd rebuild it. That's it. Because I know I have the knowledge to redo it. I know I do. I've built myself up to the person that I don't care who comes or goes, I can rebuild it. And I think that's the power of building a successful mindset, is it doesn't matter what happens to you, you can just do it again and do it again and do it again.
Yeah, man, that's everything, right? Like you give someone a lot of stuff and take it away, they're wrecked. You give someone a lot of skills and like mindset and you try to take like stuff away, that you can't like take away someone's skill set. You can't take away their mindset. And so
Yep.
that's why that's been something that I've gone all in on. I'm not at home, but I've got a pretty similar display. And I credit that to the vast majority of my success is just going deep into reading books on self-development, health, fitness, finance, relationships, psychology, all those things that no matter who you are can apply to your everyday life. If you just take 10 minutes a day, ideally a little more than 10 minutes, but if you even take 10 minutes a day and you just go through a little bit of information accumulation for 10 minutes a day, the compound effect of that is monumental. Now, one thing I want to transition and talk about a little bit is it definitely takes confidence, right? To build a business, especially to the point that you've built it, to build wealth to the point that you've built it. It takes confidence. One thing that you talked about very eloquently that I want you to talk about for people listening is that balancing act between like having confidence and having humility. Because I think it's really easy once you get, I call it big mo, once you get that momentum and you start making money and like people start like, giving you accolades for a speech you did or a post you made or something like that, it is really easy to go from like confident to cocky. On the flip end, when things aren't going your way, when you're getting those punches to the face, when you are failing time after time, it's really easy to fall back into that just total humility phase. So what's your balancing act and what do you recommend for people who kind of sway to one end of that spectrum?
Well, I've never been a big fan of ego. Just I think there is such thing as a healthy ego, but when you have an ego, and I reposted one of my posts that said this, a couple months ago. I don't know if I have the exact post on here. Let me see if I can find it. But it was a really good quote about ego and humility. And here it is right here. When you walk with gratitude and humility, God blesses you. When you walk with ego and greed, God humbles you. Right. And I went on to say basically, he will humble you all the way to rock bottom if needed. Stop blocking his lessons, be receptive, learn, grow, adapt, and max out your potential every single day. And I think for me, being a person of faith, and I put a lot of my trust in God. I have confidence because of the way I've developed myself, right? Like I said, I have no worries that if everything were to be torn apart from me, that I could go rebuild it. And that's because I've spent the time growing myself. So the way that you get confidence is by becoming the person that you want to be, not only physically, but mentally. This is the biggest thing that I teach my team. If you want to become a certain person, you have to already see it in your mind and actually become that person. So say, for example, if you want to get in shape, right? You want to be 11% body fat and you want to be in the best shape of your life. Well, what does that look like? First of all, see the picture in your mind. And then how does that person act, walk, talk, eat, sleep, everything? And you have to, once you see those habits, become that person right now. Right now, become that person. If you want to make $1 million a year, what does that person act like, walk like, talk like, sleep like, eat like? Become that person right now. Because if you start acting like the person that you want to become, eventually you attract the results that you want to have, right? Because you're walking around with that confidence and that swagger that you deserve those results because you're that person, right? And so that's where I go mentally every single day. Like the person that I want to be. I hate the word want, because if you're saying that you want something, that means you don't have it, right? So I like saying, I am that person. The person that I am, the reason why I act like that person is because I know I'm attracting the results of that person. by being that person every single day. So that's where my confidence comes from, is seeing myself and being the person that I want to be, right? And basically how you eliminate humility, or how you have humility and eliminate the ego, is understanding. And for me personally, it's my faith, is understanding that I was given everything by God. Nothing is possible without him. Nothing can transpire without him. Everything that I've gone through was given and taken by him for a reason. And so that keeps me grounded and keeps me humble, knowing that he can take it all away from me whenever he wants to, and he can give it all to me whenever he wants to. But all I can do is be the best person that I can be every single day. And, that's it.
That right there is why you're on here, man. Just being your best self. But no, so it comes back to gratitude. Like that is something I've probably said on every single one of these episodes so far. I think this is episode like 57, 58, something like that. Everyone, the word gratitude has probably come out of my mouth. And that's exactly why. Like if you aren't grateful just to be here, be alive, be experiencing this, you have not truly understood how lucky you are. Like just to be here, like to be able to wake up every day, whether it's in an Alaskan king on the coastline of, California overlooking the beach, or it's a twin size bed in your parents' basement. Like if you have the opportunity to open your eyes, get up and experience another day, you're already blessed. Everything on top of that, icing on the cake, sprinkles on the icing, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's something that I've always been really big on. I actually plan on getting a tattoo soon that just says the word grateful. But I want to dive a little deeper into what you were talking about with confidence and really embodying the person you're trying to become, because really that's the only way to become that person is, and this is something, I believe it was Jim Carrey, which makes sense because he's an actor, who said, if you feel anxious, depressed, now I'm not disregarding, some people have like chemical imbalances.
Yeah.
Not going to disregard that, but a lot of times it's your ego or your sense of identity getting tired of playing that role. And it really is, if you start eating the way that your ideal self would, if you start moving your body the way your ideal self would, talking, socializing, thinking the way that your ideal self would. And it takes time. That's going back to the beginning. It's not like you can just snap your fingers or like say, I'm going to be a millionaire and all of a sudden you're there. That's where that ability to cultivate the life you want comes in. But you need to be able to really clearly envision that for yourself and understand what it would take. Because if you don't even have a destination, how do you plan on getting there? And so that's why I love that visualization practice. This is something that I used to do all the time. Is before I just recently started actually getting into speaking, but before that I used to picture what I was wearing, the color house lights that were on me, the faces in the crowd, what they looked like, just like the feeling of that in my body, just yelling like, what up Milwaukee, what up Texas, what up whatever, and just really feeling it. And for the first time I was actually in front of a pretty decent sized crowd, mic'd up, backdrop, on the stage with house lights and everything. And I said, what's up everybody? And it clicked. Like I've been manifesting that moment for so long. Now what's next? And so now I've been manifesting the other things that I want in my life. And you can say what you want about law of attraction, but there are so many cases that show it's not just picturing it, but when you picture the belief with the hard work, that is the magic formula, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I think, I was just talking about this on a mentorship call of mine on Tuesday. And, the law of attraction, it kicks in from, it's not just the thoughts, right? A lot of people think the law of attraction starts with thoughts become things, right? But then if you dig deeper into it, why is that? Well, your thoughts, right, get embedded into your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind creates your morals and your beliefs, right? And those are what form your emotions on a daily basis. So if you're thinking about a certain goal or certain person that you want to become, you're visualizing it, then that gets embedded into your subconscious mind. When it gets embedded in your subconscious mind, you start to feel what it feels like to hit that goal. And that is the most important part of it, is the emotion behind it. Because I have people all day long that they'll tell me, oh, I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire. But deep down, they're like, I'm a loser, I'm a loser, I'm a loser. And they wonder why they never get anywhere. Because it doesn't matter if you think it all day long, if you feel like a loser, even if I'm thinking I'm a winner, but I think I'm feeling like I'm a loser, it doesn't matter, because it's the feeling that matters. Your thoughts become your emotions, and your emotions turn into your actions, and then your actions become your results. So your actions don't come from your thoughts. Your actions actually come from your emotions. And so that's where the law of attraction kicks in. And so that's what I teach my team. I'm like, look, it's not just about what you think. You have to get into a deep rooted feeling of that, get emotionally involved in your goal, and it'll happen, because you're going to start acting like that person. And the best way to get into the emotional state of it is to be grateful for it. And the gratitude part of life is not only so important because it puts you in such a positive mental state. They actually, to say this, and I'm glad you mentioned it and brought it up, because anxiety and depression are very real, right? But they did a case study on hundreds of people with anxiety and depression. They put them into this case study where they had them become actors and pretend that they were happy, stress-free people. They each gave them an identity that they had to act like for, I think it was like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And after the case study, all of them had lower levels of anxiety, depression, or it was gone completely. Why is that? Because they became a different person. They had a different identity. So yes, I believe that there is anxiety and depression out there, but I think you can internally change that if you get emotionally involved in being a different person, right? If you get emotionally involved in being the best version of yourself, you start to think differently, act differently, and you start to attract different results. You start to be happier, less worried. And I think that's a super important thing to winning in life is, you have to get into that state of gratitude. Not only be grateful for what you have right now, but be grateful for hitting your goals in the future. Most people, when I say that, they're like, how do you be grateful for something that you don't have? If you can be grateful for becoming a millionaire, I'm grateful for being in the best shape of my life, I'm grateful for this, grateful for that. Like you get emotionally involved in the fact that your goal has already happened and you're grateful for it. It's so already done. It's not even funny, because
Dude,
you will start acting
you
completely
just
different
cracked the
person.
code. Oh, sorry, go for it.
No, yeah, that was it.
So you just described the thing that took my business to the next level. Basically from doing absolutely nothing to actually having a good amount of success was I was very much in that, like, trying to think my way out of it. And all of a sudden I just started, like, because I'm very big, I love podcasts, I love watching self-developers like Jay Shetty, Tom Bilyeu, Lewis Howes, Ed Milet, all those guys. And instead of just thinking, I want, like you said, I want to be there someday, or just thinking like, oh, I'm going to get there, I completely switched my mindset to just complete immersive gratitude for the fact that in the future, it's here.
Yeah.
So again, it's one of those things, if you understand, it's like if you know kind of thing. Like if you don't understand that, maybe start doing a little digging into Joe Dispenza is a good person to look into with that, with
Bob Proctor.
bringing future self into the present moment. But it really is, once you realize that, you know, at any given point, technically the future does not ever exist. Technically the past does not ever exist. You're always in the present. So if you're able to think about a version of you in the future, well, guess what? At a certain point, that's going to be the exact experience that you're having right now, just with a different external environment. So if you can create that external environment internally, you can hold so much gratitude for it. And that's where you really get into that feeling and that physiological state of just, again, gratitude, appreciation, love, connection, all those high vibe emotions. And then eventually you're living in it, right? And so I absolutely love that. Now we're going to start to kind of wrap up, but I would kick myself if I didn't ask you a couple questions about just building wealth, because I think it's one of those things. I heard the statistic, and I guarantee you this is one of those that is made up or swayed a little bit, but it was something around 85% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, which baffled me to hear. I mean, I'm by no means like swimming in cash right now, but I am like doing well for myself. I'm able to, sleep in a comfy bed, eat quality nutrients, things like that. But what would your advice be to someone who is living paycheck to paycheck, who knows that they're meant for more?
Stop hanging around people that are broke. That's the biggest thing. A lot of people are so emotionally attached to their friends and their family that they feel the need to spend time with them. And I'll just tell you this, you become who you hang around, right? Your income, your health, your anything will be the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If I hanged around 5 fat people, what do you think is going to happen 6 months down the road? Right? If
Add
I
a
hang
few
out with
pounds, yeah.
5, if I hang out with 5 broke people every single day, what do you think is going to happen to my life 6 months down the road? So people that want to become wealthy, start figuring out how to get around successful people, right? Stop hanging around the same, schmucks that aren't going anywhere in life. And I'm not saying your friends and family are bad people. I love my friends and family, right? But some of them, I got to limit my time with them. Some of you guys spend 5 minutes with people that you should be spending 5 hours with, and then you're spending 5 hours with the people you should be spending 5 minutes with. And that's one thing that I got told from day one in this industry was, spend time with the right people. If I was only allowed to tell people one thing when they got started on their journey to success, that would be the only thing, is spend time with the right people. Because if you're around the right people, they'll tell you the books to read. They'll tell you the correct actions to take every single day. You'll see them doing it, right? You'll see what it takes to win. But even if you get told to do all of these things and you get told, hey, you got to do this, you got to think like that, you need to do this, this, and that. If you're hanging around the wrong people, it won't matter, because you'll know what to do, but your environment, you always become conducive to your environment, and you will adapt to your environment. We are animals, right? We adapt to our environments. That's what we do. And so that's exactly what you will do. You notice you ever start hanging around people and they talk a certain way, and then you start talking the same way. They start saying certain phrases and then you start saying the same phrases, or they start doing a certain activity and you start doing that same activity. That's what we are. It's our human nature to adapt to our environment. And so you got to figure out, stop being afraid to ask successful people, hey, can I get around you? Hey, can we meet for coffee? Hey, can you teach me what you do? Can you coach me? Can you mentor me? You gotta be able to go out there. You got to put yourself out there. And yeah, you might get rejected. It is what it is, but you got to do whatever it takes to get around successful people. I always, make jokes about it, how early on in my entrepreneurship career, and even to this day, I have fought my way into rooms that I had no business being in, right? Like I was living in my car and I weaseled my way into lunches with $1 million earners, right? I was making, maybe 4 or 5K a month, and I would weasel my way onto a 100-foot yacht with a guy that's making, $1 million a month. That is something that I've always done because I knew my environment is the most important thing. And now look, I've built relationships, right? My business partner, my closest person that I work with every single day, he lives down in Sunny Isles, Florida. His name's Joey. That dude makes $120,000 a month, right? And I talk to him 3 times a day, right? And or more. And it's because, I want to get as much conversation with him as I can. And the guy that mentors him, I have a close relationship with him now. Why? Because I built a relationship with Joey, and then eventually he made the connection to his mentor, Alex, right? Alex makes about, $2 million a month. I mean, these guys are making serious money, and they're not only successful financially, but they're successful individuals when it comes to, just the emotional intelligence that it takes to win in life, being a good person, being a good father, being a good husband. They're great people. And so I've just done whatever it took to be around the right people in life. And those relationships have served me tenfold what anything else has, right? Anything else that I could tell you, those relationships, those conversations with those people have paid off tenfold. I would take the dumbest person in the room that hangs out with successful people every single day versus the smartest person in the room that has all the skill sets, tactics, strategies, all that, but they hang out with broke people every single day. I'll take the dumb person every single day because I know eventually they'll surpass everybody.
Yeah, man, and for people who like have that mindset of like, but I don't know who to talk to. Yes, you do. Like, don't play that card. You've met people that inspire you, that you look at and you think, like, even if it's just one area of that person's life, like their finances, I want to be like that. Cool. Ask them how they did it. They can tell you to fuck off, or they can tell you how they did it. Like, that's up to them, but at least you asked. It is so much easier than people think. You just have to get out of your own way. Like, no one, I think people are so scared to go up to people because they think like, I don't know, they're gonna get slapped in the face or something. That's the
Yeah,
level of fear I see. But if you're just
you have to
willing to have the
realize
conversation.
successful people come from the same place that you're coming from. I told you guys my story at the beginning of the day, right? Or at the beginning of this call. Everybody heard my story. It's like I come from the same, if not worse, background than other people. There's people within, my team, some of my leaders. People wouldn't believe their stories. There's a guy on my team, one of my top earners, who a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, was overdosing on heroin and one of Milwaukee's biggest drug dealers. Now he's completely clean, went to sober living, got out of that, and he's now one of the best entrepreneurs here in the Milwaukee area. One of the top guys in my organization. Just a really humble, cool dude that helps people win. And that's his background, right? He literally grew up, his whole family did drugs around him. And so what did he do? Drugs, right? We become a product of our environment.
Mhm.
And so I don't blame kids that get into that because that's what their families did and they grew up into it. But you got to realize that at any point you can decide to change your environment, right? You just have to want it bad enough. And so I always tell people this: when it comes to changing your environment though, and picking who you spend time with, just ask yourself this question: does this person have the lifestyle that I want to live? Plain and simple. If they don't have the lifestyle that you want to live, again, you should be limiting. I'm not saying cut out all your friends, cut out all your family, right? Whatever. I still spend time with my friends and my family. It's just very rare occasion now, right? Because I have to be spending time with the right people. It's almost like when I do spend time with some of my friends and family, it's like draining. I can feel the energy being sucked out of me. And it's not because they're bad people. It's because my mindset is up here. Where I'm going is up here. And they're just on a different frequency than I'm on. And that doesn't make them a bad person. It's not matching right. And it just feels off and it feels draining to me. And so that's just one thing that I'll tell people when it comes to building wealth. If you really want to be successful, one, you got to learn skill sets that are important to today's society, right? People are going to school, getting good grades, and that's great. But make sure if you are going to school and you're getting into a big amount of debt, that you're learning something that is useful. Because in the next 10 to 20 years, AI will have replaced, literally probably 80% of jobs that exist today. Next 10 to 20 years, AI will have replaced 10 to 20 years, AI will have replaced 80% of jobs. And so make sure that if you are going to school was not the route for me, but make sure that if you are going to school, that you're going for something that's going to be around for a long time, because most things are not. And so that's my two keys to building wealth. One, make sure that you're getting good at something that's actually worth it. And two, make sure you're spending time around people that actually have the lifestyle that you want.
Heck yeah, man. Two great pieces of advice, if you ask me. So
Yeah.
we'll start to wrap it up. I always have one question for people at the end, but before we do that, I just want to thank you for coming on. I mean, you're one of those people that like it seems like you don't talk the talk until after you walk the walk, and you can say, all right, here's the proof. Take it if you want it, leave it if you want to leave it, but I'm running this way. Whoever wants to join is more than welcome. So I want to thank you, not just for the example that you're setting for people, but the leaders that you're creating to have this immense impact, and just the mindset you bring to the table, the advice you bring to the table, the energy you bring to the table is something I'm sure with the people you're around, the team that you're leading, you hear it a lot, but just from someone kind of on the outside, I hope you do realize you are having a really big impact on a lot of people. And on behalf of all of them, I just want to thank you for doing what you're doing.
I appreciate it, man, for real. And I mean, props to you for doing this podcast too. I mean, it takes a lot of guts to go out there and reach out to people that are winning in life and interview them. I know the research that it takes to do before you even do the podcast. So, man, props to you for doing this. I remember when I started doing weekly mentorship calls for our team, and it was exhausting, it was draining, but the result from it has been amazing. And the amount of people that have reached out to me saying it changed their life has been unreal. And so I know people are gonna do the same thing with your podcast, man. But yeah. And just real quickly, if people do want to hear some of my strategies and tactics on, mindset and business skill sets and stuff like that, my YouTube channel's up. It's just AJ Sandberg. So people can go subscribe to there. I've got probably 20 trainings that I've done on mindset and business and stuff like that people can watch. So
Yeah, I went through plenty of them and I highly recommend them. So I'll put a link to your YouTube as well. And then this isn't the last question. This would be a huge letdown, but like, if people do want to follow you, connect with you, what are some socials or places that people can keep up with? Like, I know Instagram, you post a ton of inspirational content. Just places where people can follow and keep up with what you're doing.
Yeah, Instagram's probably the best for me. My Facebook it goes from being maxed out to, it maxed out at 5,000 friends. So I'm pretty much maxed out on there. I think I have a little bit room if you're one of the next people to add me. So you can connect with me on Facebook. But yeah, Instagram is probably the main one. It's AYJAY 100. I don't know if you want to put that in the comment section too. I do have a lot of fake pages, so just beware of those people trying to, buy, get them to send them Bitcoin and stuff like that. So just beware of the fake pages. I only got one account. And yeah, but you guys connect with me on there. If you have any questions about anything, let me know. But yeah.
Yeah. Make sure you type it in right. That's the biggest thing.
Yes.
Awesome, man. All right. So one last question. And I ask this just out of my sheer curiosity, but for you right now in your life, what's the next step in you becoming your best self?
It's funny that you asked that, because I just, really made a big decision, me and my fiance and my son. My son's, 5.5 now. And just made a really big decision to travel a lot, like not just like, go on some vacations. I'm talking about like go out of the country to, possibly getting to 100 countries and literally going all over the world, documenting it, putting it on YouTube. And the reason why I want to do that, travel has always been a very big passion of mine. And so I want to not only show people that, out of all the craziness that's going on in this world today, that the world is the world. It's still a good place. You can still win here. You can still thrive here. You can still have a good time here. There's so much animosity going on. And I think me traveling the world and being able to showcase all the good people and the good cultures and all that will be really cool for people to see. And it'll inspire them to just keep living their life, be grateful for what we have, and, just keep striving for what you want, and you really can make a difference in this world if you want to. You just have to take it step by step, take it step by step, have the big goal, but then break it down into the steps that it needs to have the change in your life, then maybe a change in a couple people's lives. And then it starts to grow and catapult some more. And that's really what I've done. It started with me changing myself, and now it's turned into, changing thousands of lives. And I'm super grateful for that. But, now we're going to take it to another level. I'm going to keep, growing my business, teaching people financial education, teaching people how to trade, teaching people how to build an online business. It's something I'm very passionate about. But we're going to travel a lot. And, me and my fiance and my son, we're going to see the world and be able to document it and just inspire people to, that the world is a good place and that we can do a lot of big things here.
That's huge, man. Congrats. That is something I haven't gotten out of the country a lot, but I've been doing a lot of like cross country road trips just to try to see just the US. And even that in and of itself, it's just different worlds based on where you go and who you get to meet. And so I think that'll be really valuable for people. I think that's one of those things that people don't even realize how valuable it is, like until
Until
they
they watch
see
it.
firsthand. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
But
See it.
it's
Yeah.
such a powerful thing. And there's a reason people always come back just so light and liberated and connected from trips like that. So that's awesome. I'm so excited for you guys. I can't wait to watch that. I'm sure you'll be posting some stuff on
Oh
your
yeah.
YouTube
Yeah,
channel.
we're gonna
So
start doing some vlogs. So I've been working on getting the camera equipment for that. I go to Miami here in a couple weeks. That's more like a business trip, but we're still gonna make a little vlog of it and test out the equipment, see how it works. And then we go to Punta Cana in May. So we're gonna go to the Dominican Republic, and then we'll decide where we go from there. But just trying to decide if we want to go to Asia or Europe or wherever it may be. So we'll see what happens, but definitely excited for the future. And glad you had me on here, man. I'm really excited. Hopefully people got some value from it, and
oh yeah,
they go crush their goals.
absolutely. One last tip: rent ATVs in the Dominican. Super fun. But
But I will do that.
yeah, dude, thanks again for coming on. For everybody listening, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, I am truly humbled for anyone who takes the time, especially if you get to this point, takes that time to just sit down and learn from people who have gone through the process. They've gone through the mess. They've gone through the journey of developing themselves, learning from other people, and just really making the most of it. So thank you for tuning in, everybody. If you liked this video, there's a like button. If you have comments, questions, anything, just throw them in the comments section. And then if you know someone in particular who is trying to run a business or just trying to get in a better mindset, share this with them. That's why we do this, is to get this info out to the people who really need it and want it most. So everybody enjoy your week. Thank you for tuning in, and we will catch you next time.